Theaters are, of course, entirely empty. Do understand that having people buy tickets is an important part of success in your industry. Rachel Zegler, I guess, didn't get the memo. The bliss of total stupidity and narcissism. Look at the bliss. On some level, it's got to be a blessing to just be so smooth-brained.
The chatter surrounding Disney's live-action reimagining of Snow White has reached a shocking, unprecedented climax. In a move that has stunned industry watchers and fans alike, several major theater chains have officially pulled the film from their schedules following one of the most tumultuous openings Disney has ever endured. Or at least a moderate hold, to salvage some dignity, but the meltdown behind Snow White had already turned the project toxic.
If you cover up the mouth and you look at just the eyes, no, you see evil, in fact. Right? If you look at just the eyes, it's evil.
Leading actress Rachel Zegler thrust into an unforgiving spotlight by the ongoing controversy and lackluster box office returns. For Rachel Zegler, the realization that Snow White was being yanked from cinemas reportedly triggered an emotional crisis. Having already been at the center of the media firestorm, she found herself grappling with the reality that the very film intended to showcase her talent was now widely regarded as the year's biggest cautionary tale. According to sources within her close circle, online commentators openly mocked the film's marketing, pointing out how the two leads appeared uncomfortable whenever they shared the stage. Meanwhile, viewers who saw the movie posted reviews lamenting the glaring lack of on-screen chemistry and coherence in key scenes. Instead of an enchanting update to a beloved fairy tale, audiences felt they were watching a production weighed down by personal grudges.
According to Nielsen data, YouTube beat out Netflix and Disney last month in total US watching, and that's partly thanks to viewers 50 and older.
Furious at how thoroughly the film disintegrated, believing that the controversies would have been avoidable had Rachel Zegler not overemphasized the moral lessons behind the project. In the immediate aftermath of the removal from theaters, Godot's team has tried to keep her public image separate from the fiasco, emphasizing her upcoming roles in other franchises. Still, her connection to Snow White remains an undeniable mark on her recent filmography. It's unclear if the two stars will ever mend their relationship, and at this juncture, such a reconciliation seems improbable. Meanwhile, the creative team behind Snow White, writers, directors, designers, are caught in the crossfire of blame. Many poured their hearts into conceptualizing a new Snow White who could resonate with today's audiences while respecting the original's timeless magic.
A video of herself in a theater, I think she bought that ticket right there.
The news of theaters removing the film was the final blow in a long series of stressful incidents, including on-set disagreements, invasive press coverage, and public backlash to her outspoken commentary on the original fairy tale. In the weeks leading up to the theatrical release, the tension between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot spilled into every facet of production and publicity. As the dismal box office reports became public, major theater chains moved to free up their screens for other, more profitable releases. The decision to remove Snow White so soon signaled a collective loss of confidence in the film's drawing power. What was once seen as a cornerstone of Disney's release schedule turned into an expensive misstep, an outcome nearly unthinkable for a brand that typically dominates family-oriented cinema.
Another alarm bell for Hollywood. Oh my. So Disney's losing to YouTube? That's why we started off with this, right? Disney's losing to YouTube?
Reportedly experiencing an emotional breakdown behind the scenes. This turn of events marks a dramatic conclusion to a promotional cycle plagued by rumors of feuds, backstage conflicts, and political disagreements that overshadowed the movie's creative ambitions. While the film once stood poised to present a bold update to a Disney classic, it instead fell victim to personal quarrels that erupted into full-blown chaos. For Rachel Zegler, the news arrived like a crushing blow. According to individuals close to her, she had been under immense pressure for months as tabloids, social media, and even mainstream press outlets dissected her every statement. She was widely criticized for her remarks about the original Snow White narrative, which some found dismissive or condescending toward fans who cherished the 1937 classic.
I'll give Disney some credit. They're brave enough to leave the comment section open.
Others took issue with her political activism, accusing her of allowing it to overshadow her dedication to the role. Then, of course, there were the rumored spats with Gal Gadot, which quickly became a dominant narrative eclipsing the entire production. In the days following the removal of Snow White from numerous theaters, Rachel Zegler has reportedly locked herself away from the public eye. Insiders describe her as distraught, inconsolable over the magnitude of the fiasco. She had stepped into the role of Snow White, arguably one of Disney's most iconic princesses, only to end up the face of a very public disaster. Friends say she has broken down in tears multiple times, wrestling with guilt, regret, and frustration over how the project spiraled out of control. There is talk within the industry that studios, seeing this spectacle, are now hesitant to hire Rachel Zegler for future big-budget ventures. While the actress's talent is generally undisputed, the behind-the-scenes chaos has left many studio executives wary of inviting controversy onto their sets. Some argue that any project featuring Rachel Zegler or Gal Gadot might be overshadowed by the memory of Snow White's catastrophic run. Adding fuel to the fire,
Coming to a theater near you, for the first time in my life, I'm glad there are no theaters near me.
Instead, any artistic achievements they might have contributed are overshadowed by the relentless scandal and the unprecedented decision by theaters to yank the film just days or weeks after its debut.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too.
On and off the set. By the time Snow White reached theaters, the conversation had shifted away from whether the film would be a success and toward the internal strife between its two principal stars, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. Industry insiders have confirmed that a disappointing opening weekend, compounded by near-empty theaters in key markets, prompted theater owners to remove the movie from a large number of screens after just a short run. Some crew members have anonymously expressed disappointment, pointing out that no creative endeavor could survive the constant barrage of negative press and open animosity between its leads. The abrupt removal from theaters has immediate financial ramifications for Disney. The studio poured a massive budget into production and marketing, expecting it to be a surefire hit. As a result, the film's rapid disappearance from multiplexes effectively seals its fate as a box office bomb. Analysts predict staggering losses, not just in the theatrical window, but in ancillary markets as well. Even streaming releases are unlikely to spark renewed interest, given the torrent of bad publicity and the persistent narrative that Snow White is a project that was doomed from the start. Rachel Zegler's breakdown also carries emotional weight that goes beyond mere business concerns. She was once touted as a rising star, celebrated for her vocal talents and early screen successes. This fiasco has left her reputation deeply scarred. Friends say she's replaying every moment in her mind, from the day she signed onto the project to her public statements about the original Snow White. She now questions whether she should have navigated the PR circuit differently, held back some of her personal commentary, or softened her critique of the original film. Given the unrelenting scorn directed her way online, it's no surprise that she feels cornered, distressed, and unsure about how to move forward. Beyond the personal anguish, there's a broader concern that Snow White's implosion will affect how studios adapt classic properties. For decades, Disney's formula of reimagining animated favorites into live-action spectacles was seen as a safe bet. The idea was to tap into nostalgia while adding modern updates to captivate new generations. The meltdown of Snow White signals that these reboots can backfire if not handled with a careful balance of reverence for the source material and a coherent strategy for modernization.